Here.
Director Clark,
Here.
Director Dye, and Director Grant.
Here.
And Director Grant is participating remotely.
And we have our staff.
And we have staff. We have General Manager Chuck Duffy, that's me. Bill Parkin is our attorney, and Delia Comito is our Assistant General Manager. And we have Delia will be retiring, as we all know, in 2 months. So we've got with us Hope Atmore, who is going to be the new Assistant General Manager. So welcome, Hope.
Welcome, Hope. You bring us hope.
See, I knew it was coming.
I couldn't resist.
We've done it inadvertently and
Opening up for general public participation. If any members of the public would like to make any comments for any items that are not on tonight's agenda. Seeing none, we will move to the regular meeting agenda, which I need my glasses. Our first item is a resolution of appreciation for Chris Porter from Ecology of the Coast. And that is resolution, 2023, we'll get a number. It's 04. 04. Pardon me. It's 05. Thank you. Okay, this is a resolution expressing gratitude and appreciation to Chris Porter of Ecology of the Coast for her years of service to the Granada Community Services District and its district residents. Whereas Chris Porter, the General Manager of Ecology of the Coast, the district's franchise waste hauler, which provides solid waste and recycling services for customers within the district, is retiring from her position on June 2nd, 2023. Whereas the district wishes to recognize her 38 years of service to the district and the residents of the community. And whereas under Chris Porter's management, the district through Ecology of the Coast and its predecessor, Seaside Disposal Company, has consistently provided quality solid waste and recycling collection services to our ratepayers. And whereas Chris Porter has effectively worked with staff to provide exemplary customer service to the residents of the community, all the while helping the district in meeting state compliance requirements. And whereas Chris Porter has been a friend and ally to the residents of the coastside through her long tenure as general manager. Now, therefore, be it resolved, this board does hereby recognize Chris Porter for her exemplary leadership and dedicated service to the GCSD coastside community, and does hereby express its sincere gratitude and appreciation of her in that regard, and wishes her all the best in her retirement. The above and foregoing resolution was adopted. Oops, I shouldn't do that part yet. Chris, congratulations. Would you like to make any comments?
Thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate this, and it's been my pleasure working with all of you. And I don't know why, but I was thinking about Leonard today. I wonder if does he listen on YouTube or something? Does he listen?
every once in a while he'll send me an email commenting, so he may.
Leonard, wherever you are, we worked together many, many years. I have a great story about Leonard. Any of you that know Leonard, he would call me and just go on and on and on and on. So finally I said, Leonard, you can only call me once every 3 months. And he would call and I'd say, Leonard, it's not 3 months yet. Oh, okay. They called back. He had a lot of great ideas, and I enjoyed working with him. I probably drove him crazy. He absolutely drove me crazy, but I enjoyed working with him, as I have enjoyed working with all of you, and I am very proud of what we've accomplished together. We are one of the leading districts in all of California as far as recycling. Our commercial green waste is 100% in place. So apartments as well as businesses all have the commercial organics, commercial green waste. Residents all have everything. I again am very proud that during the COVID time frame, we did not miss one pickup. We were not late one day. We just didn't miss it. And that goes to my staff, not, to me. We always work together. I used to say we all have different parts of the puzzle. I do the political and talking with the customers. You're on the street, you're on the phone. So no one was more important than the other. So I think that's why we were always successful. Loved working with Chuck all these years and Delia. I think that, we would agree to disagree at times, but at the end of the day, we got everything accomplished. Board has always backed us, which I again appreciate. And this gentleman here is Mr. Glenn Bonji, and he is also a Coastside resident, and he is the new general manager, and you'll just love him.
Great. Nice to see you, and thank you for coming.
So I thank you for this honor. It's most appreciated.
Yeah, and we've worked so well with Chris over the years, and she really has been a great friend to the coast side in general and the residents here and all that. Yeah. So we appreciate it. We're sad to see you go, Chris.
You're next.
Yeah. And my next is about 8 years from now.
Thank you. I'm sort of new, but appreciated that when you did come, you just are so clear and straightforward in explaining changes and why they're happening, and equipping us with being able to explain them. And I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks,
I appreciate that.
Thank you. I have to give Chuck a hug.
If you must.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a grandchild coming any day. My first.
Perfect timing, yeah.
There's a retirement job.
I just wanted to say thank you for picking up the trash in that trash can by the ocean, by Surfers Beach, that didn't belong to anybody else, and it really wasn't in your contract. You continued to pick that trash up and appreciate it, and all the special pickups that you arranged through the years. It really has been great working with you.
And the dog waste stations.
Yeah.
Chris, I concur too, that you have just been great with us, great to work with. You've provided great service for our customers, and things have been really smooth, and that's largely due to you. And I've been here on this board about, I think, exactly half as many years as you've been serving here. And to me, that seems like a really long time. And 38 years you've been at it. So welcome to retirement.
And
I wake up and I should be doing something today. Oh, no, I didn't. I'm liking it.
Great for you.
and welcome to you, Glenn. Hard shoes to fill.
Yes.
Before we go to a motion, I think I need to ask if there are any members of the public who would like to make a comment.
Leonard's not listening.
I thought Fran might want to make a comment. Fran, go ahead.
You muted, Fran?
Unmute yourself, Fran.
There we go.
Hi everyone. I just got on. I missed the beginning of this. So I just wanted to say that I've known Chris too for many, many years. And Chris, this is Fran Pollard, El Granada, member Quarry Park. She helped a lot with us getting started on Quarry Park. And she gave us the bins and let us fill, I think, about 4 bins of trash over there when we cleaned that up. And she's always been very good. I think the company has been very good to us. So I just wanted to say congratulations for retiring and good luck.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
I have one correction to the resolution.
Okay.
Mistake I made. It's Seacoast Disposal, not Seaside Disposal.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I will move that we pass the resolution as recently amended.
Second.
Go for it.
Second.
Okay, Clark and Di, any other further comment? Okay, we have a roll call?
Okay, Director Dye,
Yes.
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Marsh,
Aye.
Director Randall,
Aye.
and Director Grant.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Congratulations on your retirement. It's official now.
Official. You're good. And welcome, Glenn. We look forward to seeing you
Yes.
every year.
Okay, you are all. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll give it to Glenn.
See you, Chris. Thanks.
Bye, thank you.
All right. Is that one?
I will. Thank you. Okay.
Bye. Good night.
Good night. Moving to item number 2, Parks and Recreation Activities, report on the Granada Community Park and Recreation Center. Chuck, I think you
Okay,
have a meeting.
I'll certainly start off with that. So we had you all met our new project manager, Ray Razavi, at our last meeting. So we had a kickoff meeting where I introduced him to the whole team. We didn't really discuss to some extent anything moving forward. We just brought him up to speed a little bit, and I wanted everyone to put a name to a face or face to a name. So we had that meeting. It probably took 40 minutes. Carolyn sent around some notes from group 4. So Ray's hit the ground running. After that meeting, he had individual phone calls with each of our 4 groups, the architect, the Tom Conroy, DKF civil engineers, and our CEQA people from Montrose. So he's gotten up to speed on that, had the one-on-ones, and he's already helping craft a budget and a framework for the future meetings to track progress on where each group is at and whatnot. So I think he was a really good hire, and I'm glad we have him, number 1, and I'm glad I'm not doing that, number 2. So
You're glad.
We're all glad.
Right? And he really just grabbed it by the reins. So I think he's a really good addition.
I have one thing to add for him because I just reminded myself to send him a mail, but we got in the last week or 10 days, I'm losing time, information about the potential for a grant for any new respite center in the unincorporated county, which of course our future community recreation center could qualify for as a respite center. It's just they have their list of requirements. That went on to Ray, and he said he would follow up this week because I think by the 16th we have to put in a something that says basically we intend to apply for it. But I need to send him. I saw at the disaster readiness fair that they had in the city on Saturday, April Larson, who is the head of the El Granada CERT neighborhood group. And I had communicated with April and Dave Cosgrave, who's the county Office of Emergency Operations representative for this area, about whether they were interested in that particular site. I got very positive responses from both of them. One question, and I think this isn't easy to do, was whether we could accommodate a ham radio antenna, which just sticks onto the side of the building, so that shouldn't be an issue. But I will send their contact details to Ray as well, because whatever information, background information he needs for that grant, April said they would be happy to help him.
Okay, great.
Great.
You know how much of it you had?
I didn't see that much information. I just shot it on.
Yeah, I didn't see anything on it either.
We will take any.
Yeah. Just curious.
I don't think it's 5 million, which is really, my minimum bid for any.
And do you have any idea when the initial study might be ready?
That he dove into that with them, and I actually got to call him tomorrow morning. I was going to try and do it this afternoon, but I ran out of time. But I'm going to check with him tomorrow. They kind of Montrose lingered a little bit with the project description, but they've done a bunch of work. I can't remember off the top of my head what Carolyn said. I think I sent it to you. Where they've done yeah, a bunch of the work. Yeah,
But there's a lot,
there's a lot more.
there's a lot
done,
of pieces
yeah,
that.
yeah. So I'll let you know when I talk to Ray.
Okay, great. And then I can report on the pump track. I communicated with Nicholas Calderon Parks and talked to Rick Barker. The pump track will be closed for the next month. And this time they are working very closely with the local mountain bike and bicycle community. And they are helping to do the renovations needed. It was pretty damaged during the rain and the storms. So they're rebuilding it, and no major design changes, but as Rick explained, as part of the ongoing process, there will be some minor modifications to how it's set up, but it'll remain pretty much the same. So I was up there the other day, and there's a whole crew of people up there working on it. So it's great.
How
And
long
it's
did you say? Would be done?
a month.
Through the 30th.
Yes. I think it might take a little longer. I don't know, but it's just really great to see the whole community coming in and making that resource even
Yeah.
better.
It definitely gets a lot of use. It's
Yeah.
always got somebody there. So that's our one successful thing. In addition to the
Well,
skate
I
ramp.
was gonna say, the skate ramp is never empty when I come up here.
Yeah,
And the kids.
and the kids and the kids program. Any other comments from the board on Parks and Rec? Any public comments on our Parks and Recreation activities? Seeing none, we will move forward to. Is that Pat? It's Pat. Pat is there. Third item 3, public hearing, consideration of Granada Community Services District fiscal year 2023-24 sewer and Parks and Recreation budget.
These concessions. I'm just wondering, when you heard Donald Trump say that.
The camera froze.
I had every right to.
Yeah, I had to restart mine. I think we lost the board.
I think so.
And
Just you and I are talking? listen to what's going on
I
in the
think that's-
world.
Yeah,
Huh?
good idea. See. Well, I sent Delia a message. Maybe she'll pick up.
Oh, good.
Fran, I'm gonna end it and try and log back in to see if that works.
Okay. Should I do that too?
No, you wait and see if I come back.
Oh.
I'll try it right now. Assign a new host. Guess it didn't work.
No, I see you again.
Oh, there's somebody. Hey.
Our Comcast went out.
Yeah.
Not surprising. But yours did not, Jill?
Well, we were all still on the call. We just waited.
Okay. It's just because we just upgraded the internet in this room and up the speed, so it died.
It went so fast it came back around and was.
All right, we're just opened up a discussion of the GCSD budget, and Chuck, I think, had just started to describe it.
Yes. I'm sure I'm not getting double feedback here.
Exposure camera that you're just gonna have a.
We can increase it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I think I got cut off at, so SAM is 70% of our budget. So our GCSD costs, if you will, the admin and whatnot, are pretty static year over year. If they change by $10,000 or $20,000, it's $10,000 or $20,000 of 30% of the budget. So it's fantastically minor. So basically SAM's costs drive our budget. So what we've had from last year over this year is we've increased the sewer service charge, and we're in the second year of a 3-year increase in sewer service charge to $755 per ERU. And you can see that on page 15 of the agenda. So last year we looked at collecting $2.1 million. This year we'll collect $2.44 million. And we need that to offset. A couple of years back, your board decided to shift the property tax from being shared with sewer side and Parks and Rec to all Parks and Rec. So that's offsetting that. So
And the fact that that might happen was included in the vote in the
Correct, in the 2014 LAFCO vote.
2014.
Yeah.
People
And
understood
then the
that that
people's
might
vote.
happen.
Yeah. So that's page 15. Anyone have questions with that? That's the revenue side.
I have one connection.
Okay.
Do we get connection fees?
Yeah, that's in the non-operating
Is
revenues.
that in the miscellaneous?
And one of the
That's
things,
non-operating.
yeah,
Okay.
you know, what I think I'm going to do next year is ignore general accounting principles and put all the revenues in
Yeah.
one line. It's much easier for you all to read. You're supposed to separate operating revenues from non-operating revenues.
Oh, there it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
It
Sorry.
just makes it more difficult to read. And if you go to the end of this budget where I have my 5-year projection, it's much simpler. It's almost like that's the budget you want to look at because that's the big picture.
Chuck, I have one question on that, and that is the 480 Avenue Alhambra rent, until that is an asset that is being used for Parks and Rec, we won't move it to the Parks budget, but at some time in the future, we would.
And we could,
Actually, by the time we move to the Parks budget, we won't have any rent in.
right. And we could split that up, but a lot of this stuff is like when I'm trying to figure out, okay, what portion of the district's overhead should be applied to parks and what should be applied to sewer. You make an educated guess, but if you're plus or minus $10,000, you can't get more accurate than that, obviously.
Well, I think we were not calling that a park asset until we're ready to make it a park asset.
Right. And at this point in time, it's not, because we don't have a park.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, makes sense.
So
I just wanted
yeah, it makes it easier. And then you'll look, one of the items, well, is that on the non-operating? Yeah, so I'll save that till later. So that's page 15. Page 16 outlines Sam's operating expenses. So they've gone up 4.5% over last year. Now that's not a true recognition of how much Sam's increased, because while their budget's increasing, our percentage of the budget is decreasing, because each year we seem to be dropping as further and further as a percentage of the flow into Sam. So, I think we were at 19.8% last year. 7 years ago, we were at 29%. So we've been slowly going down. So Sam's costs have increased more than that, but our share is just a 4% increase.
And we should just note that the contract election services is really not part of the SAM operating expenses.
Yes, it's not part of the JPA or the operating expenses. Yeah, that's a completely
Even though
separate contract.
It's shown as number 5 here, but it's really separate.
Right.
And it's a good deal.
We just contract with them to manage our pipes.
So then I go to page 17, and like I said, our budget for 22-23 for GCSD administrative expenses was $849,000. We're predicting we'll spend $821 this year, and next year's budget's $859. Again, plus or minus $10,000. I'm pretty accurate with this stuff because we've been doing the same stuff for 20 years, but not that accurate. And then if you go to the bottom line, quote unquote, the net to from reserves. So we're running an operating deficit. Again, if you follow accounting principles of operating revenues and non-operating revenues. So we're in a deficit of $226,000 a year. And that's why we're going to have an increase next year as well to kind of offset that.
And that's, if our non-operating expenditure, revenues were added in, it would not be a deficit.
Right. And that's why I said it's easier to read, and I'm going to combine them next year. Just is what it is.
What is the CCTV?
That's closed circuit TV. That's the TVs they send down into the sewers when we have a problem. So if they have any kind of issue, there's a backup, a leak, whatever, they send a little TV down there and crawls along the sewer main. Going to page 18, we start off with the sewer non-operating revenues. And the reason they call this non-operating revenues is because, sewer service charges are I know what I'm going to put on the tax roll and what I'm going to collect. Non-operating revenues, they don't consider it part of operations. I'll pick an example. Line item number 2, connection fees. We budgeted $28,000 last year. We collected $154,000. So we could collect $154,000. We could collect 0, depending on how many people connect or don't connect. And that's why you don't want to base a operating budget on things that fluctuate that strong. So,
Is that due to a big thing like the new RV park?
yeah, what was that?
Big wave.
Yeah, what was the? Yeah. Then we have SAM refund. I just put a placeholder there. We've never gotten money back. It's substantial money, right? Substantial money anyway. As I pointed out to you all before, this is the last year. So when we started the assessment district in 1996, the general district loaned the assessment district money to fund a bunch of their things, a reserve fund and a bunch of other funds. They have been slowly paying us back. We wound up the assessment district, the bond payment portion of this last year. So we're not making those payments anymore. And so this year, this fiscal year, will be the last repayment from them. And that's going to be about $350,000. So we won't have that revenue stream moving forward. Now that was offset by a liability, obviously, many years ago, but, and then we've got the ERAF refund. So what I've done this year is I've apportioned that based on past conversations with your board. I've apportioned some of that ERAF refund. That fluctuates from $350,000 to $450,000 a year. That's the money. So we get our property tax money. 20 years ago or so, the state developed this program called ERAF, where they clawed back some of the property tax due us under Prop 13, and they sent it to the schools. So they did that twice. There's ERAF 1 and ERAF 2. And we're an anomaly like two other counties where if they collect too much money from here and it overfunds whatever they need for the schools, they return it to the districts within San Mateo County. So we're part of that. So that's good. Because San Diego isn't. Either we don't collect enough money or they're not part of the program.
We may lose that.
And we may lose that. And that's why I always hate budgeting on that. But you have to do a standard of reasonableness a little bit. You know, I can't put zero in. So anyway, for the first time this year, I've split that up $160,000 to the sewer side. And I think it's 190 or something to the park side. 240 to the park side. So, and that's $400,000. Yeah. So I went in between. We're also looking at interest on reserves. As you can see that top line on the sewer non-operating revenues, that's gone up substantially. We were earning 0.35% a year and a half ago. Now we're earning 3% with LAIF. I will be introducing to your board next month another investment option, CalTrust. We've done that at two of our districts down south, and they're currently earning 5%. So, you know, I can do that simple math. 5 better than 3. That's a lot of money. You know, got a fair amount. So we'll be looking at that, and we'll be splitting the LAIF and our reserves between LAIF and that CalTrust. Then I go down to the, still on page 18, sewer capital projects. The first line item is just a placeholder for miscellaneous repairs. The second line item is our 6-year mainline replacement program. We bundle 2 years at a time. We just finished our CIP, the second phase of it. I can't remember when, February or something like that this year. And so we've already started the design for phase 3 of this. So we'll go through this year with design. We'll budget for the $500,000 plus or minus for the actual work. For not this fiscal year, but next year. And that's kind of been our plan. Every 2 years, we bundle those 2 phases and fund it. So our beginning balance projected is 2.391 in our reserves, and our end balance is 2.374. So we're still losing a little money that we're taking from the reserves. And I'll jump to that. Maybe I'll jump to that now. If you want to turn to page 20, I've got my 5-year sewer look ahead. The key, what we're looking at down here is, once again, the bottom line, our reserves. So you can see my projected sewer revenues. I'm increasing that by what we've approved for the sewer service charges. If you look at those highlighted in yellow, 20, 25, 26 and on, I've got plugged in 12%, 12%, 10%. What we're looking at doing is flattening our reserve level. We want to be at about $3 million. We've done a lot of reserve studies internally. We do them for all my districts. It's, you know, there is no hard and fast number you want to put in reserves, but you know, what happens is you get something like at SAM, what we've been talking about with ERF, and we're going to have to expend $8 or $9 million to replace the Montero force main, and our 20% of that. If that comes a calling, we need some reserves to mitigate that. So that's just my plug-in. You can see our bottom line. We're at 2.3 this year, 1.9 because we'll be doing $500,000 in CIP, 2.1, 1.9, 2.5. We're just kind of getting up there. So. And we may have to get, depending on what happened with SAM and their timeline for replacing that Montero force main, we may have to get more aggressive with our sewer service charge increase next year, because again, that's a big nut. If I pick a $9 million number, 20% of 9 million is $1.82 million, and you can see that's our whole reserve fund. So that's the kind of the sewer side. Any questions or comments?
We will look at this when we do the 218 for the next 3 years after next year. But if we, you know, in history, when there has been a significant but kind of one-time expense, do districts consider having a high fee and then coming back down?
You can do that. What we've also looked at is a lot of times you finance things. I have mixed feelings about financing. You're paying interest, and if you can raise rates to do it, you don't want to. There's a lot of people look at financing as an equalization method, that if you're going to put something out there, why should the people who live here these next 4 years pay for that, and then the people the next 20 years benefit? I go both ways on that. I'd still rather not borrow money if I didn't have to. It's just a waste to me to pay interest on that kind of stuff. And this stuff evens out. You know, we'll do some improvements now, and 10 years from now, they'll do some improvements and people won't live here. And, you know, so.
Yeah.
I think
So-
there's always going to be things that need to be fixed.
Exactly,
It's
right.
infrastructure.
And yeah, and if they, and you know, depending on what happens with the Montero force main, if they accelerate it, we may all look at financing this just because we have to, and it may be Sam doing it. Okay, so that is the sewer budget. I'm going to go backwards here
One page.
to page 19, the Parks and Recreation budget. So big line item on revenues is obviously property tax allocation. My budget is going down, but it's because my budget last year wasn't as accurate as I thought it was, because I'm guessing at what the increase would be in property taxes. Historically, it's been probably 4.5% over the past 6 years. And I look back at that when I set this budget. So I think that $920,000 should be pretty accurate.
County said that their revenues are up 4%.
Okay. Oh, all right. You told me that as well. Yeah. So yeah. And then the county actually sends us something in October, which doesn't help my budget, telling us how much we'll get for property tax. Then we've got interest on reserves. Again, it's increasing, and it'll increase more if we put a majority of money into CalTrust. There's the ERAF. Go ahead, Nancy.
Just your number for total revenues under the fiscal year 2022-23. Looks like an error. 2.7.
That is.
It got my heart being like, oh, wouldn't that be nice?
All
But
right, let me look at that. That's supposed to be a dumb number, not a formula.
yeah, it should be 934.
Yeah. Well, the other ones are right. Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
Now you've thrown me off my game, Nancy.
I'm sorry.
Then the Parks and Rec expenditures, we've got miscellaneous projects, 10,000 RCD. Professional services is $150,000. Ray and I are still in the process of refining that number. So we basically looked at all their contracts, all the team member contracts, and what they've expended and what they have yet to expend to bring us to the permitting place. So that's what we're looking at. And then the reimbursement to Half Moon Bay for the property tax agreement. So we have to give them 18.2% of whatever we spend on Parks and Rec, because that's the agreement we have with them to gain their support for Parks and Rec.
So
LAFCO.
we had budgeted a lot this year because we had acquired the Picasso building, but because have not converted it to parks use, we haven't paid them. Is that right?
Well, that's one reason. The other issue is, when I budgeted some of this stuff and we look at actual expenditures, you can see it's 719 versus 419. So we didn't spend as much as we thought we would.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then we start the year with a beginning balance of 776,000, and we end the year with 1.7 million.
And we only need a lot more than that.
I was gonna say, where are you going with that?
We have another year or two to build it up, the reserves, and then,
And then finance.
Well, and
Finance.
next year we won't be expending a lot. We'll be collecting the 920, and it just keeps going for that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Ray is going to help us on this particular grant, but I probably should have said this under Parks and Rec. We had talked about contacting the lobbyist that Half Moon Bay used that got them multi-millions. I can contact, I have a note to myself, I can contact Matthew Chidester and get that name.
Yeah, if you could
Because
get
that'd
that
be
name, that'd be
another
great. I'll
professional
pass it on to Ray, because Ray would probably know about the guy because he's doing 2 projects down there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they got $4.5 million for Carter Park, so that's the kind of numbers.
Yeah, that's the kind of numbers we need.
Yeah.
So that's our budget. Any questions or comments? Like I said,
And board comments, and then we'll go to public hearing.
I think it seems very well thought out, makes total sense to me. And, we're gonna start sucking away money for the park and continue the progress that we've made and run a good, solid, efficient sewer system.
yeah.
So well done, John.
Thank you.
Great job.
Well, 70% of it's out of my control. So,
Well, your assumptions
we-
seem really solid and like.
Yeah.
Actions.
And I don't show you all the, I'm looking at 3 years, 5 years of all this stuff. Yeah. So.
Any other comments or questions from the board?
One other comment I wanted to make, which is the actual number of the increase in our contribution to SAM is only going up 6%, which, it's going up $105,000, even though the SAM budget is projected to be significantly higher.
Is it 16 or 17%? Something like that.
16,
Yeah.
Yeah, but Half Moon Bay's paying up 15% of that, and then because the share keeps changing.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I will open the public hearing and ask if there is any public comment on the proposed budget. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. And any further, we have a motion from the board?
To move approval of the budget for 23-24 as proposed.
Second,
You guys got to trade off.
So fast.
And other people can make motions. I just, I believe in motions.
Who was the second? Jen?
Jen,
All right.
let Jen do
Yeah.
that. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, can we have a roll call?
Director Dye?
Yes.
Director Clark?
yes.
Director Marsh?
Yes.
Director Randall?
Yeah.
And Director Grant?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 5-0.
Okay, moving on to item number 4, Sewer Authority Midcoast Fiscal Year 2023-24 General Budget, Contract Collections Budget, and related resolutions. This we have just looked at in our budget, basically.
Yes, we basically just looked at it in our budget.
But we have to approve
yes.
Sam's budget.
Yeah, so we have to approve Sam's budget. Like I said, there's 70% of our budget. I don't know, Matthew or Barbara, you want to give any insight into the discussions? The big item this year was obviously the infrastructure budget, which we talked about fluctuated wildly. And at the end of the day, they approved replacing the boilers at the plant, They approved that $500,000 for $1.5 million. They approved replacement of the emergency generator. It's a diesel generator, which is at the plant. And then they also approved $1.5 million, I guess, in Montero Force Main funding. So that was kind of
So there's also
the big issue.
Yeah, fairly significant increase in treatment. Chemicals, the price of chemicals, and this is something they have no control over, keeps going up dramatically.
Yeah, dramatically. Yeah.
They have added one staff person. They were authorized for 13, and now they had one unfilled position, so that's been filled. They're a union shop, so there are union negotiations for salaries, so forth, and the benefits are very good at SAM for the employees. So there's always some increase there. They use a lot of consultants, which is one of the things. They don't have as many staff, but they use a lot of engineering consultants. They use things that could be done by staff are really done by consultants, but it seems to work for them. And they have consultants they've been working with for years that really know the plant. And I have to say, reading the reports seem to be very responsive. Even the ones that aren't based here in the coast side seem to be there. You'll hear people talk about how repairs aren't funded. There was a wish list of things that the plant that was put together about 3 or 4 years ago by an outside consultant who was involved. Almost all of the things on that list are either been done or are in the process of being done. There's still more things that need to be replaced, but if you look, I don't have it with me tonight, but I did a graph of the budget for infrastructure, and you can see that for the past like 5 or 6 years, the amount allocated is going up by large amounts every year, double-digit amounts. So I think we really are doing our part to support SAM. And this year, it seems as if replacing the generator is a good idea. They've been renting generators, and that's really expensive. And the boilers, they were proposing to repair one and buy one new one, and the price difference in buying a new one and replacing it and repairing the other one was, so the board said, why don't you just get 2 new ones? And they went, oh, okay, good idea. So SAM board really does try to pay attention and look at all the details in these budgets, and I feel at this point that I'm comfortable recommending that we approve this budget as presented.
On the boilers, when the general manager said, I think we can get by repairing the other one. Those were the words that
Get by.
I think we can get by. So, and the difference was, my pharmacist just said, not significant, and especially it wouldn't have been significant if we didn't get by. So, we just, and that was Half Moon Bay, actually, one of their reps said, proposed
that,
proposed that. So, that's just get 2. So.
One other thing that's going on is that there's 4 basins that they use for one of the major stages of treatment, and they were just, for a long time, they were just using, they have 2 matching ones that one was in use and one had never been fitted up to be used. That was basin 3. And then when they had the VOD problem, they put them back into the older basins 1 and 2. And the board kind of, some of us sort of kicking and screaming, approved $400,000 to get basin 3, the one that had been unused, and convert it so it was usable, so that they would have more redundancy and better.
That was basin 4.
Basin 4, yes, sorry, basin 4. Basin 3 was the one they'd been using, and they put it back into basins 1 and 2, and then they wanted to get basin 4 set. It's taken, what, 1.5 years to finish that project, and basin 4, it ended up costing, instead of the $400,000 that was proposed, it ended up costing about $800,000. So that's one of the things that's there. It's just about, I think, to be put into use, and that may increase the efficiency of the plant as well. That's yet to be seen, but hopefully that will be finished. And I guess one last thing is, a number of the a lot of the new equipment they're putting in is, and I don't know the technical term, I should remember it, but is designed so it doesn't run all the time. Variable.
Frequency drive.
Yeah, various things. So the blowers, for example, they were either on or off, and now they have these fancy high-tech variable ones. So the amount of electricity is based on what's needed rather than just running things all the time. So a lot of the updates have resulted in more efficient equipment. And I know we spend a lot of time complaining about Sam and the budgets and the money, but I also think it's important to look at the good things that are being done there.
And if they run a lot more efficiently, the PG&E bill won't go up. It's 96,000 a month or something.
And our SDG&E bills, because I just did this, we put in solar at our Whistling Palms treatment plant. And of course, we timed it perfectly for the worst 6 months in San Diego history in cloud cover. Seriously, I was telling, I think Matthew or somebody, we were the best in the country, 82% cloud cover for May.
Wow.
Yeah, but our SDG&E bills at our treatment plants have gone up 60 and 70% in 3 or 4 years, 60 or 70%. And they're so anytime you can save energy, it's good.
Thank you, Barbara. Anything to add, Matthew?
Not on the budget, but we'll talk about the 2 meetings we've had. May 22nd to May.
Oh, wait, that's the next agenda item.
Let's do the budget.
We have to vote.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
to vote on the budget.
I'd be happy to make a motion.
Let me go first, ask if there's any public comment on the SAM budget. Or Jill, do you have a comment?
Nope.
Okay. Seeing no hands up for public comment,
Yes, I'd like to move approval of the SAM budget as presented.
second
Second,
from Director
This
Clark.
makes sense.
Any further comment or questions from the board? Seeing none, we call the roll.
Director Dye,
Yes.
Director Clark,
aye.
Director Marsh,
Aye.
Director Randall,
Yeah.
and Director Grant.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
I'm gonna see which of you got the under and over on the target.
I'm already tracking it.
Did it in 8 or 5 stops. Okay, number 5, report on sewer authority Midcoast side, Director Clark.
The May 22nd meeting, obviously the main topic was Sam's budget. And I don't want to be too snarky about this, but another episode of Half Moon Bay really earnestly saying they wanted this force main work done and they wanted everything else to get done, but they were just not going to vote for infrastructure, anything, 0, unless they got their stipulation. And so that's where we still are on the same budget. We'll see what the city council does.
But they did vote to send it to the agencies.
But they did vote to send it to the agencies. In fact, they proposed it.
Yes.
At that meeting, I suggested that we've been getting a table or 2 tables on CIP capital improvement projects in the consent agenda, and I suggested that that's not enough, and it should be a real agenda item. And Half Moon Bay also agreed with that, and I think we'll move that. So it instead of just seeing where the numbers are, we'll get a little more detail on how CIPs are moving along. At the 22nd meeting, we had a report from the Resource Conservation District about First Flush. And people who don't know what that is, it's a program where the RCD, and I think this is done a lot of places, puts together a team to go out and sample water at the first significant rain when the rainy season starts. And it happened back on September 21st of 22. They got enough rain to send people out. And I'm talking a bit about this because they sampled 11 locations. 8 of them are in our district. And the E. coli count was over the recommended levels in all 11, every site tested. The Enterococcus was also over in all the tested locations. For some reason, they had 12 samples for that. I don't know why. The fertilizer that generates orthophosphates was over the recommended limits in 8 out of 13, and 5 of those are in GCSD. Most of the really bad ones are all over in Princeton. They tested West Point Avenue, Denniston Creek, Vassar Avenue, and Capistrano over in Princeton, and they all run high on all these numbers. Yeah, and there are various reasons for that. The results for copper in the first outflow of rain was that 4 out of the 13 that they tested were over their recommended limits. These limits are set by various agencies, from the county to the state to the feds. And so 3 out of the 4 were also in GCSD. And then the others were better. Zinc, lead, and total suspended solids were within the recommendations of every location tested. Nitrates were above in just 2, and 1 really stood out, and that was Naples Beach was like 3 times higher than the next highest one. And I don't know why, but that may become a cause of concern. And on the total suspended solids, Denniston Creek was 3 times higher than the next, but those were all within the recommended levels. So I think all in all, it's a good report. But I've watched these go over the years. The previously mentioned Director Leonard Warren used to always go out and do this, and so he would give a report here every year, and so I thought I would expand on what we learned from at the SAM meeting like this.
Can I add something?
Yes.
They've done testing, and it is not human generated E. coli. So these amounts that are going into that they're finding are not from the sewer system. They are mostly from, and the RCD's done quite a bit of work in looking into this. A lot of it is dog poop. It's just everywhere in our communities and washing into the streams. There are farms and horse facilities that wash down into it. They've done a lot of looking at the liveaboards in the harbor. They don't. The most recent study didn't find that they were a significant problem. Just want to clarify that these problems are not sewer related.
Yeah, bovine, equine, and canine are the main people. Yeah, DNA tests. They have the dog food. I don't know.
And you know what? Even if your dog isn't right, go on the path, clean it up, because it's going to wash into the ocean.
Yeah.
And a lot of the biggest problem areas are within the harbor where there isn't the natural ocean current flow.
Right.
To keep cleaning it up. So that's the other reason. And in fact, the worst beaches just came out yesterday or today.
San Francisco Chronicle had one today.
The Capistrano is one of the worst in the state. But that's right in the middle of the harbor. There's virtually no circulation there. So
Pacifica
people and kids.
Well, right. In the top 10 were Pacifica, where all the surf schools are.
Yeah.
And the Capistrano Beach in the harbor.
Yeah, and Surfers Beach was better this year. It's definitely better, which is
it's not much
makes sense because it's not inside the breakwater.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yes, thank you.
Yeah, they have Pacifica's got the Lindemar main that overflowed
Oh, that's right.
twice last year, and again at the beginning of this year, and the readings are still sky high because the E. coli, et cetera, is still on the beach. Yeah. And we already talked about the new boilers, et cetera, for that meeting. And then we had a meeting on June 12th. There was virtually no discussion of anything. The only noteworthy thing was that the entire meeting took 27 minutes. And we were out.
Totally on record.
And we were out of there. So
It was amazing.
that was a good scene.
I'm going for a personal record today, so is that all?
Yeah, that's all.
I held my tongue then, so I was thinking, wait, there's a board president gonna do that in 27 minutes?
It's a challenge. Any questions
Get a
or
little more
comments?
on the agenda this time.
Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes the corrected April 20th, 2023 special and regular meeting minutes, May 18th, regular meeting minutes, June 2023 warrants, April 2023 financial statements, and the assessment district distribution number 7-2223. Is there anything anybody would like to pull from the consent agenda? Any public comments on the consent agenda? I remember doing. Seeing
Somebody
none?
else.
Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Okay, this is my first motion. Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a second.
Second.
Matthew seconds. Okay, no other comments? We have the roll call.
Director Dye,
Hi.
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Marsh,
Aye.
Director Randall,
Yes.
and Director Grant.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Any committee reports? No committee reports. Number 11, number 12, the attorney's report.
No report.
13, general manager's report.
Nothing further.
14, administrative staff report. Nothing further. Future agenda items. Can we add, if we don't have it, and we might have it, I'll get to that page real fast. Director's compensation review. In line with, I thought we had talked about it. Oh, it is on there. I'm sorry, it is on there. It's number 5.
What we can do.
And there was something else that I said for July, maybe it was the director's compensation.
I'm gonna have the Cal Trust investment options as well. That's probably not on this list.
One, for the future, and maybe we should consider this before we get to Delia's last meeting, is it would be great, because it's been a long time and its situation just changing, if we could have a primer on the assessment district. And now that we're moving from getting money back of it and going into its in perpetuity phase, to explain how that works. Delia explained it to me once, and I understood it for about 30 minutes after I left the room.
That's good.
That was a good.
I walked on thinking that, but
I had a friend explain blockchain technology. It's the same
That
thing.
for about
I had like
15
20
minutes.
minutes there.
At a wedding, I had once had someone explain the theory of relative from across the table.
okay. Any other future agenda items? Seeing none,
Oh, we should talk about recreation options, recreation possibilities for the summer.
For
can you and I take that offline, because I think it's just us.
I know, well, we could put it on, that will maybe spur us to have something for that agenda item.
Well, we can do it under Parks and Recreation.
Yeah,
activities.
that's true. Okay.
Seeing nothing further at 8:36, we are adjourned.
Oh, good job.
I won the under.
Jill,
I whispered it.
I told you.
Wanted to